Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, continues now. This is the broadcast for March 13th, in the year of our Lord 2025, hour 202, promoting God, family, and country, protecting life, liberty, and property, and doing so on your radio in the traditions of our founding fathers. Brian Rust doing a great job, as always, on your radio. Ladies and gentlemen, freewaterqueenco.com is your friend in the honest money, precious metal business. They can take care of you, take care of your family, and you just got to partner with them. They'll steer you in the right direction. You can get nickels that are literal silver nickels below spot value right now, below melt value. It's incredible. So get a hold of Brian Rust over at freewaterqueenco.com and get nickels. You've also got dimes and quarters. They call it junk silver, but it's far from junk. It's real money, ladies and gentlemen. Or you can go ahead and do your Silver Eagle, silver dollars. They're at the top of the heap when it comes to non-numismatic kind of coins. They do a great job for that. Again, freewaterqueenco.com. Brian is a sponsor of ours. And when you support him, you're really supporting not only what he does, you're not only supporting the founding father, Ask Honest Money, but you're also supporting, ladies and gentlemen, Liberty Roundtable Live and this radio network, lovingliberty.net. So spread the word and share the love and get involved in meaningful ways in honest money, freewaterqueenco.com. Now, there's so much going on. There's so much news everywhere. It's just hard to even handle it all. For example, Tulsi Gabbard literally firing a bunch of people in government, just basically saying, hey, these people are clowns. These people are bad news. These people aren't doing what we need done in the country. And that's really what's happening all across the government right now. People want to make a difference. People want to work on the solutions. But you've got a big, big, big pushback because people have been complacent. People have been on the dole. People have been in situations where they've coasted for way, way, way too long, right? They've basically just been getting kind of a free handout. A lot of these people haven't even been going into work. Some of them have been working at home, I'm sure, and I commend them. But there's a lot of them that I don't think have really been working. They've kind of just been on the dole and getting kind of a free ride, and that's going to stop under the Trump administration. And I pray that that's true. I have a feeling that, the deep state's a lot deeper than people realize. Even Tulsi Gabbard found that out. She's like, hey, the deep state's way worse than I thought it was. And, well, you know what? Trump found that out in his first go-round as well. Many people are finding that out. Guys like me who have been reporting on the news for 30 years find out every day how deep and how, for example, this transgender mice, or this, we're going to create a mammoth mouse, like a woolly mammoth in preparation for bringing the woolly mammoth back from extinction and these kind of things. Imagine those kind of discussions, folks. So it's worse than I even thought it was, right? It's just beyond the pale how bad it really is. It's just something. And so we've got to work on it. And we cannot just have those who we elect work on it. We, the people, have to work on it too. Okay, we've got to create more jobs in the private sector. We've got to create more opportunities. A lot of these people that work for government, hey, many of them aren't bad people. Many of them are just forced to go along, right? They don't mean to be bad. They're just cogs in the wheel. And that's part of the biggest problem. And you look at, if you don't believe me, you look at a lot of these talk show hosts. Megyn Kelly is a great example. Glenn Beck, Tucker Carlson, Bill O'Reilly. I can keep going, right? And these people were pretty much in the system. They were part of the deep state, big media era. And a lot of them, they had to toe the line. But what we find out after they end up getting fired or quit or get let go or leave for a variety of reasons, we find out that, those people aren't as bad as we thought they were. Take a Glenn Beck, for example. He used to be a lot more liberal, and he used to be a lot more afraid to tell the truth. He'd call it conspiracy land, and anything that he didn't want to talk about, he'd toss into the conspiracy tree. Oh, boy, you can't go near that. You can't this, you can't that. But that's when he worked for CNN and Fox and a lot of these liberal big media things, right? And you find out a little different once he's in office. You find out that, hey, it's different than he thought it was. Either that or he knew the truth all along, but because of his job, he had to kind of stand by it. But Glenn Beck, for instance, had a great awakening on multiple fronts. And this is in defense of Glenn Beck, by the way. Glenn Beck used to be a situation where he was like, let's see how to say this. He'd defend the mainstream media, and now he won't defend them. In fact, he says, hey, these guys are bad news. He was against Trump in many ways, and now he's realizing that, hey, Trump is far from perfect, but Trump is more the answer than he had first thought. So he's changed his tune on that. He used to, be willing to go along to protect his job. Well, then he realized that they were turning against him because he wanted to, talk about God on the radio. And they wouldn't let him. They were like, hey, this is just not helpful. We don't want you doing this or whatever. And so then he eventually left, and he tells that story. Well, I told that story long before Glenn Beck ever even told that story. The point is, it's true. And Glenn realized it in his defense. He left the mainstream press. He's on his own now. And he's a lot more of a truth teller as a result, right? It's great work on his part. But he's much more of a truth teller as a result of that. Bill O'Reilly, same story. Megyn Kelly, same story. They all basically move towards their normal inclination, which is move to the right after they leave these networks, because they know that these networks are peddling a propaganda situation. They're not telling the truth. They're not honest in their delivery. They have an agenda, and that agenda is driven by big money, whether it be big pharma, whether it be who knows, but it's the kind of thing where they know the truth, these networks, but for money they're going to peddle the lie or continue the con, whatever word you want to use for it. And Glenn Beck used to be that guy, and now he's no longer that guy. Now he's not perfect. He still needs to make a lot of money. He still has a pretty big network to fund, and they've got to get sponsors. But it's way different than it used to be. That's the whole point, right? And so remember and understand that. And remember that in order to get things done, people have got to have independence. They have got to feel empowered. And that's why this network and what we do is so vitally important, because we tell the truth. And let me give you one quick example. In the education arena, they want you to believe the only way to do well is to go to college. If you go to college, hey, you're going to be doing okay. You're going to get a great job. Life's going to be good for you. They put all kinds of statistics together that peddle their agenda, which is, hey, all you've got to do is go to college and your world's going to be just taken care of. It's a lie. And that lie is being exposed more and more every day, right? People are realizing the truth. People are starting to intuitively understand it isn't that way, right? You can do well without a degree. Sure, you've got to be educated. You've got to be able to deliver in your modern society. You've got to be able to focus on the important things, and you got to have knowledge and skill sets. That's true. But you can get those in so many ways that are so much less expensive than your standard college plan, right? And people are finding that out. In fact, one lady basically realized she can't read, but yet she graduated from college with honors. How is that? I don't know the answer, but she sued, and I did a video about it. Here it is.
She graduated with honors, and now she decides to sue. TheBlaze.com. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. I'm Sam Bushman with another Liberty Roundtable live short video brought to you by the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, CSPOA.org. Become a member of the posse and part of the solution today, would you please? All right, they say she graduated with honors, but now she's suing, says The Blaze. Her name is Alicia Ortiz. She's 19 years old. And I guess she's filing a lawsuit now against the Hartford Board of Education and the city of Hartford, Connecticut. Well, she spent 12 years in the school system, and at the end of the day now, she says she cannot read or write, and they have failed her. Wow. Is that a microcosm of the government schools in the United States today? Sadly, the answer is yes. Many people graduate from high school, from college, can't read, can't write, functionally illiterate. Yes, they can read push on the trash can, or they can read the word stop, but they cannot functionally read, which means anything more than a fourth grade level of reading is very difficult. Understanding what you read, comprehension becomes very difficult, and therefore she says she's had enough. It's not fair. Well, the problem that I have is this is college, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, not high school. I get it if you're a little kid and you're like, hey, they never taught me to read and write. Now I'm an adult. I feel horrible and I feel cheated. I understand that. But when you're going to college, how did you graduate from high school or junior high school, for that matter, without being able to read or write? And then this idea that she's going to graduate with honors. She knew full well she couldn't graduate with honors. It's up to her to come clean and say, I can't read and write. There's no way for me to graduate with honors. The next question is, how did she graduate with honors? Was there dishonesty? Somebody else writing her papers? Somebody else taking her quizzes? How can you get through this level of college without being able to functionally read or write? How do you become 19 years old and decide somehow you've been wronged? Isn't it up to you, Miss Ortiz, to speak up before now? And isn't it up to the education system with all the testing they give and all the assignments they dish out and all the homework and all the reports they require you to write and so on and so, wow, what about your thesis? How do you get through all that and then say, I can't read and write, therefore I'm going to sue you? Well, if that doesn't point out what's wrong with the education system, I don't know what does. The only answer left is we, the people, need to take responsibility for our own education. Educate yourself. Homeschool, private school. Get a certificate instead of a degree. There's a gazillion ways to inexpensively obtain an education. We have more information in this world via the internet, via new ChatGPT and AI. You have the ability to teach yourself anything you want to anytime, and you shouldn't blame it on anyone else. Thanks for being along. Side for the ride. I'm Sam Bushman, and that's another Liberty Roundtable Live short. God save the Republic.
This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
Do you treasure your liberty? Well, at lovingliberty.net, we most certainly do. And we want to help protect your liberty too. Become part of the family. Everyone knows that the core of any society is the family. Therefore, the government should foster and protect the integrity of its family, we the people. Won't you join us as a Loving Liberty sponsor to help us promote the principles in the 5,000-year leap? Let's restore the miracle that changed the world at lovingliberty.net.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bushman on your radio, hard-hitting talk at your fingertips. So I got an interesting tidbit that I want to share with you people. And it's from The Blaze, and I appreciate Glenn Beck, and that's why I was talking about Glenn Beck so much in the last segment, is, the more Glenn Beck seems to broadcast, the more he gets away from the mainstream press networks, and the more the better Glenn does. Glenn has reversed himself on a variety of issues, and I really have respect for that. If you're humble enough to say, hey, I wasn't right on that, and now I feel differently, and especially if you trend towards more conservative, more constitutional, more moral principles and views, and you have the guts to stand up, I really give credit to that. And so I want to give a big old shout out to Glenn Beck and say, hey, he used to be for a a constitutional convention. Now he's against that. And he says, hey, man, it would be disaster. He's right about that. He's right as rain. And I said that for years, and so have many others. But, Glenn wasn't aboard. He had a different view, right? But now he's doing more constitutional talk every day, more founding father-esque talk every day. And part of it is he's become a history buff. And so he's learning. And you know what? That's great news. And so Glenn Beck realizes that, hey, a con would be a disaster. And if you promote a constitutional convention, it's not going to go very well. And I really appreciate him doing that, right? I really, really appreciate Glenn Beck telling the truth on that and acknowledging those differences. He says the problem is, and I agree with this 100%, the problem is, hey, who's going to run the Constitutional Convention, right? I mean, are you going to have, like, Bill Clinton running the Constitutional Convention? Hey, I think we ought to have me and all the senators' wives run the convention, I mean, this is crazy town. Or what are you going to have, Barack Obama or Joe Biden at the helm of the convention? Or even a Mike Johnson? It would be absolute disaster. These people don't believe in the principles that you and I believe in. These people don't adhere to the founding father-esque viewpoint of limited constitutional government. They don't hold the moral high ground, right? I mean, these people are just too much. Well, anyway, and so that's the first problem, is who would be in charge of the convention? Nobody that I trust. What about you? Not to mention then, hey, what restrictions would you have at a convention? Well, Sam would put all these rules in place. How do you know they'll obey the rules? How do you know they won't just throw out all the rules and do whatever they want? And so we have no guarantee, if we open it up to a constitutional convention, that will adhere to the supreme law. Now understand that the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were designed to work together. The Declaration of Independence pointed to God Almighty and a higher power than government and said, we the people are sovereign, and we have the opportunity and the authority and the responsibility and the obligation, the duty to throw off government if it's out of control. But how do you throw off government? And there's a lot of ways to do that. It reminds me of the discussions of war, right? An all-out war takes a congressional approval with funding, and okay? But most of the time, we don't need to go to full-scale war. Oftentimes, mark and reprisal can work. Oftentimes, other ways can, diplomatic relations, and okay? Well, the same thing is true in this scenario. We don't have to have a constitutional convention and let some people possibly go and negotiate on our behalf and possibly, throw the baby out with the bathwater or go that extreme. We don't have to have a secession from the Union. We don't need states to secede. They tried that back in the South in the 1860s, and it didn't go so well, did it? So we don't need to go that extreme, but we can rein in government by using nullification. Tom Woods is a great example. Nullify now. He highlights and documents that principle very well. The doctrine of the lesser magistrate is another great example of how to go ahead and do it by nullifying, or having good people in authority saying, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go that far. There's a better way. And so what we need is Americans to be involved and realize that, you know what, their liberty is not a spectator sport. Their liberty is not up for debate. Their liberty is not subject to assault by bureaucrats and professional do-gooders who claim to know more than the rest of us. There are checks and balances. There are jurisdictional boundaries. there are ways that we, the people, can make a difference. I mean, think about how we can work with government at all levels, not only at the ballot box. That's one great way, but most people think they've done their duty if they do that. That's just where your duty begins, not where it ends, right? And so people need to understand, you got to elect officials. You've got to study the issues. And then you've got to push your representative or senators to obey those principles and those issues. I'll give you a quick example to make the point. You know, I want to defund Planned Parenthood immediately. I believe they're criminal. I think they're murdering babies. I think they're selling baby body parts. They're doing all kinds of heinous criminal activity, and we're funding it with our tax dollars. Well, we, the people, need to then bring this issue up and make it the issue of the day. We need to talk about it on the radio. We need the media to bring stories out about it. We need Congress to put bills in place to reject it. And great job, Josh Hawley, Senator of Missouri, for doing that very thing. He literally created a bill that's like, hey, let's defund Planned Parenthood, defund murderous organizations. Well, then I called my congressman, Mike Kennedy, from the 3rd District of Utah. And I said, hey, Mike, we need to have you put a companion bill in the House. I haven't heard back from him, but I'm working on that. See, that's what I mean by we the people need to be engaged and involved and make a difference, right? We really need to stop the bad and stand for the good. And if enough Americans speak out about it, if we make it a big issue, just imagine if every talk show went on the air and callers called in and said, hey, we really need you to work on defunding Planned Parenthood. We could make a big difference. There's a lot of pro-life groups doing a great job for that. And I support them and want to help them. But if the people were to get behind this in a very meaningful way, we could really make a difference. Another example is, I don't know if you know this, but Washington District of Criminals, Washington, D.C., I guess they're beginning what they call reconstruction of Black Lives Matter Plaza. I guess they say with new murals, yournews.com with the piece, and I commend them. Now, we highlighted this story, I think, yesterday or the day before, but we didn't get a chance to dig in. Sometimes I put a teaser headline in the news so you guys can see it. Hopefully people drill into it themselves, right? And get involved. But this is an example where, hey, we need to make a difference here. What on earth is Washington, D.C. promoting Black Lives Matter for? It's divisionary. It's racist. This organization is sworn. Go look at Black Lives Matter website if you don't believe me. This organization is sworn to destroy the traditional family. Okay, folks, this in America is just not acceptable. Whether you have a traditional family or not, right? This is something that you can't just ignore. You can't just, sit on the sidelines and let it happen. You've got to get involved. Americans have got to call their congressmen, their senators. They've got to talk to people in media. They've got to put their money where their mouth is and fund organizations trying to stop this, right? We got a lot of work to do, people. I'm telling you that right now. It's not nearly enough that we get rid of 50,000 illegals like the Trump administration has. We need it to be 5 million. And the only way that's going to happen is that people like us start to support Tom Homan, Donald Trump, and others working on this. We've got to work together, and we need your involvement like nobody's business. All right, hang tight. I'm Sam Bushman. More in seconds. You are listening to Liberty Roundtable Live, syndicated on the Loving Liberty Radio Network. That's lovingliberty.net. Download our iPhone and our Android app and listen to your heart's content. Back in seconds. You are listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.
Pursuing liberty, using the Constitution as our guide. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Just hours before his confirmation hearing was set to begin, the White House has withdrawn the nomination of former Florida Congressman David Weldon to lead the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The action reportedly prompted by concern that Weldon lacked the necessary votes to win confirmation. As Trump economic policies start taking hold, inflation shows signs of tapering off.
The Labor Department reports its producer price index was unchanged from January after rising 0.6% the month before. Compared to a year earlier, producer prices, which track inflation before it reaches consumers, were up 3.2%, but that figure is actually down 0.5% year over year. Separately, the number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits fell by 2,000 to 220,000 for the week ending March 8th, 6,000 fewer than analysts forecasted. George Williams reporting.
Facing a midnight Friday deadline, Senate Republicans hoping today's a day they may pass a bill to avoid a government shutdown, but they'll need some Democrat votes to get it done.
Senator Marsha Blackburn says Democrat leader Charles Schumer is fighting against the continuing resolution because he would prefer a government shutdown.
He feels like it would hurt President Trump and it would hurt the Republicans.
But Blackburn says gone are the days when a shutdown was automatically blamed on the Republicans.
The American people agree with the steps that we're taking.
Blackburn tells the Salem Radio Network she expects enough Democrat support to pass the CR and keep the government up and running. Bob Agnew reporting.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin mapping a new course for the environmental regulator, cutting red tape and excessive regulations. He says it will roll back trillions in regulatory costs and hidden taxes on U.S. families. On Wall Street, the Dow down 167 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare, and I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-613-5454. 800-613-5454. 800-613-5454.
In the spirit of 1776, here's your chance to own a piece of history and show your commitment to liberty and justice. Introducing the beautiful, high-quality leather wallet, crafted with precision and pride, featuring the official Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association bronze badge on the inside. This isn't just a wallet. It's a bold statement of your values. Made with premium leather, it's built to last, just like the principles of our founding fathers. Don't wait. This is a limited edition. Once they're gone, they're gone. For $760, you can carry the spirit of 1776 with you wherever you go. Visit CSPOA.org to secure yours today. True patriots, don't wait. Get your CSPOA leather wallet now and join the movement to honor our Constitution and protect our freedoms. The badge and wallet for the CSPOA is a symbol of membership and should be used to indicate that affiliation rather than for any official or professional purposes.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com. Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. My headline for the last segment I wrote on the break, Sam goes on a rant. We, the people, need to get involved like never before. And I was telling you how I am involved. Number one, you got to vote. Number two, though, you got to be involved in meaningful ways, and I was telling you about my pro-life efforts. You've got Josh Hawley doing a great job in the Senate defunding Planned Parenthood. Good for him. But we need a companion bill in the House, and so I asked my my congressional rep, Mike Kennedy, 3rd District of Utah, to see if he couldn't put a companion bill in the Senate. And I sure hope he does. I'm working on that. But that's what I mean. We can't sit on the sidelines any longer, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to give you another way. Some of the ways we can be involved are political, and I agree with that. I think we need to be politically active for sure. The liberals sure are. They put their money where their mouth is. They do a lot, right? We need to do the same. But there's a lot of ways that we can be involved and help that are not political. For example, you know what? Going to church. And I don't care what church you go to, just go to church. That makes a big difference in people's lives. They find that families that pray together stay together. Going to church, saying prayers, turning to God Almighty, repenting. We can do those things, and they have a tremendous impact on our lives and on society at large. That's really important. But I got an incredible article from the blaze.com that I wanted to highlight and discuss the details thereof, because I believe it's another way related to the family that we can help. It's not political, really. Well, they want everything to be political, so it doesn't matter if it's not political. They make it political, right? So it's political, but it's not really political. You follow me? It's political because they made it political, not because it really is or that it should be. Headline is called A Question Worth Asking. Ooh, that right when I read that, go, man, what's the question worth asking, right? And then they say, would somebody please think of the children. Whoa. Now, you've heard Hillary Clinton, those guys say, hey, it takes a village. So they're thinking of the children. You know the liberals are. But what about the conservatives? Are we thinking about the children? The blaze.com has this incredible op-ed piece or opinion piece written. And it starts out and says, in his forthcoming book, The Children We Left Behind. Think about that. The Children We Left Behind. Adam Coleman is the author of the book. And he says, hey, I'm asking people to take this question seriously. Right? Think of the children. And answer it like the grown-ups that we're supposed to be. And he goes on a big, long discussion about how he grew up. His father walked out when he was a kid. His mom did her best to hold on to multiple jobs and did the best she could. They call it single-parent hero to highlight what she did, and I agree. There's many a single-parent heroes out there doing the best job they can. In spite of it all, I commend them. But they highlight in this article, as Coleman's book shows, modern parents are handicapping their children for life. You heard me, for life. How? Through there, and they use the word solipsistic obsession with their own, quote, adult wants. That's really important. Parents are caught up in their own wants at the expense of their children, is the point. It says, while leaving their children genuine needs neglected. That's something that's really pervasive in our society. People get divorced. Their personal lives don't need a mom or a dad or a husband or a wife. But the kids do. The family does. But on this selfish altar, oftentimes people abort babies. People leave spouses. People do all these things. And it's really at the heart of the problem. And so Adam Coleman's powerful call to put kids first, he says it's from his own wisdom. In other words, he lived it, is what he's saying. And it isn't any fun where your parents spend more time on their wants and their needs at the expense of the children. And I really think that's a very important principle. And hear me? Okay, go ahead and put me back up. All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, a little cut out on the internet. I apologize for that. The best opportunity for children. The best opportunity for women. The best opportunity for men. The opportunity for males and females alike is a loving, intact, God-ordained family. Now, that's a fundamental truth that I'm willing to say on the radio, but most of the talk show hosts aren't willing to directly, completely, clearly articulate that because their networks won't let them. They'll get fired. They'll get shut down. They'll lose their paycheck. They'll lose their fame. They'll lose their fortune. Okay? But I'm telling you, that's the most clear, concise way to say it. The best situation for men, women, and children, everybody, is the family God's way. Ordained by God, a male and a female together in love and kindness, sacrifice, patience, and treating one another with love, having fidelity to one another, setting the standard for children, creating a safe zone for children, your own home. And that's what Adam Coleman is highlighting and saying, hey, we've lost that. Parents are all distracted with their own personal lives. It's hard on the children. It's no good. And so I really, really, really appreciate this article highlighting what Adam's done in this incredible book. The book is called The Children We Left Behind, Adam B. Coleman. And we really need to think of the children above our own needs. Right? Modern parents are handicapping their children for life through their own personal wants and ignoring the needs of the child. This has got to stop. They say Adam Coleman's powerful call to protect children is rooted in his own wisdom. He's done a great job. He understands a lot of this stuff, right? Anyway, I digress, except I want people to really understand those are some of the solutions that can really bless you and your life and your family. It's not really political. It's moral. And they make it political because they want to check your head out of the game. Oh, I couldn't possibly talk about that. Oh, I couldn't possibly act like that or behave like that. Or, yeah, you can. You've got to. If you want to preserve the God-ordained traditional family, that's what you have got to do. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you get involved in that, the better. Until then, we'll keep praying for you, praying for your neighbors, praying for those people who you run in contact with or you come in contact with that may not share your values. Or maybe they share your values, but they've been distracted by the world. Or maybe life's been so hard for them that they're not able to focus on their children. But you know what? When life's the hardest, that's the time to not look inward and be negative and look at the failures that you've committed or the mistakes you made or the whatever. It's time to look outside yourself and to serve those around you. So start by repenting and obeying the commandments of God. Then look around you and say, hey, I've got some extra bandwidth now. I'm doing pretty well. The more I focus on Jesus Christ, or the more I focus on helping others, the better I feel. And the better I feel, the more I can look outward and help and work on other people's situations. And before you know it, it's like, hey, these other situations are rough. I'm glad mine aren't so bad, right? And that starts to happen. And so, yes, we've got to be politically active. But more importantly than being politically active in my mind, we have got to be emotionally prepared and protected, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. All right, hang tight. Final segment in seconds. I got a little more news for you, but I'm convinced that we the people can make a difference. We've got to get up in the morning and go to work, and work to promote God, family, and country. Work to promote the protection of life, liberty, and property. I need your help. More in seconds. Liberty Roundtable Live.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
All right, final segment on your radio. Hard-hitting news the network refuses to use continues. I'm talking about solutions. That's what we do on your radio, folks. In the forthcoming book, Children We Left Behind, Adam Coleman does a great job breaking it down, saying, hey, we've got to have parents in the home. From hero mothers to hero fathers to good, honest people, we can do it. Well, it reminds me of Sean Bergen, my old friend who used to work in New York at a big news TV station there, and he was out in the field. He was broadcasting live, and there was I think it was a murder or some negative thing like that happened in their community there. And Sean Bergen had the guts to say, you know what the problem is here? We need fathers in the home. And boy, howdy, is he right. He's spot on. Well, what happened is the mainstream press came unglued and fired Sean for that statement. How dare you say that on the air, they said. Anyway, I think Sean's right, and I really have been focusing on a lot of these other issues since then, saying, hey, you know what? I get that it's a political talk show. I get that a lot of these issues are political, but I also get that we've got to fight in the culture war. Let me give you another example of how you can get involved. I've already given you a bunch of them, right? Call your congressmen and senators. Get them to back the defunding of Planned Parenthood. Shut that down. I've talked about voting. I've talked about getting involved in your family. I've talked about being a good mom or a dad, taking responsibility for your actions. Well, now Walgreens and CVS, I guess will begin selling the abortion pill, the lethal abortion pill, this month. Right? And we've got to push back and stop that. There needs to be an outcry for the American people like nobody's business. everybody should be involved in that in a meaningful way, right? We also talked a little podcasts, and we kind of popular true crime, news, comedy, culture, sports, business, health, society, technology, self-improvement. That's something that we can really make a difference on, right? What are you going to spend your time listening to? Are you going to listen to just sports and entertainment? Or are you going to listen to things that can make a difference in the world? And this political show, I would submit to you, is not really political. They want you to believe it's political because everything that we talk about, they would put a political spin on. I would come back and say it's not political at all. It's a moral discussion. We're talking about the morality of the country in every story we talk about. We're talking about the morality of the people. We don't just point out negatives, we provide solutions. So, last hour you can say, Sam, you're pretty negative on everything. Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, I provided a solution. Let Congress promote the right kind of information. But the only way they'll do that is if we, the people, demand it and insist on it. Right? So I brought in the Spotlight magazine. And all these different documents help us. They make a difference, right? And you read, you learn, you gain knowledge. Well, then what do you do with that knowledge? Do you keep it to yourself or do you share the word? Pass one of those magazines on to somebody else. Let them read and gain knowledge. China has been in the news for quite some time. I've been telling you the nature of the communist Chinese for 30 years and how evil and dangerous it is. The John Birch Society has warned against communism as well, right? Well, now the latest headlines from China has been, we're going to use a nuclear option. And then they're like, no, we don't really mean nuclear. We just mean financial nuclear option. But now they make a more bold statement over in the communist Chinese. This article is USBBC.com. And the headline says, China says that it's ready for any kind of war, any type of war with the United States. Well, that's scary as all get out, in my opinion. But, hey, we've been warning you that China was not a friend, that they wanted to promote their communist agenda around the world. And while we were warning about all that over the last 30 years, they continued to invest more in one basket, China. Well, we ought to know not to put all our eggs in one basket, right? And that should be a given. But Americans have furthered that notion, right? We've got to work together, folks. We also talk about this weekly, but Dr. Scott Bradley's Q&A's on the Constitution and more matter. Okay, they're Thursday, 7 p.m. All you got to do is go to the website, freedomsrisingsun.com, and you can learn about it. And you can make a difference. This is something that's not easy to do. But, folks, it's vital to do. And you say, well, I don't want to learn from Dr. Bradley. Fine. You say, I don't want to learn from Sam Bushman. Fine. There's plenty of other people doing this. Charlie Kirk's doing a great job. Mike Gallagher over at Salem is doing a great job. Larry Elder over at Salem doing a great job. I mean, I can name names all over the place. Focus on the Family doing a great job. Family Research Council doing a great job. Liberty Council doing a great job. Kate Daly doing a great job. Chris Ann Schoenberg doing a great job with her Common Sense Coalition. I mean, there's so many ways to make a difference. And it's all about spending your time on the things that matter most. Spending your time on what makes a difference. Let me give you an example. Another quick example. Judge rules on NLRB firing. Now, do you even know what NLRB is, ladies and gentlemen? It's the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB. Well, judge rules on NLRB firing. And what the judge says is, hey, a president is not a king. Trump lacked the authority to dismiss Gwen Wilcox. The court finds Newser editors are involved in this over at newser.com. They say, hey, Trump can't just fire these people. Well, my response is maybe not. Trump did it because he thinks they're wrong, and this labor relations board is communist. And he's right. It's evil. You got to be able to work freely and benefit from the sweat of your brow. By the sweat of thy brow shall thou eat thy bread all the days of thy life. Go look at the Bible, right? So Trump is right as rain on this. But you know what? The judges say, no, he can't do that. But what if enough Americans pushed Congress and said, you've got to fire this guy? Fire him right now. Right? In my mind, that's what we need to do. We need to fire that judge or impeach that judge. Because you can say, well, Trump doesn't have authority to do that. But I say, Congress, hey, do they have the authority? I think so. So that's why we need to basically get this done. Enough Americans need to push and say, hey, these leaders of these National Labor Relations Board need to go. These judges that are protecting them need to be impeached, need to go. Okay? There's no reason we can't do all this stuff in the private sector. If there's really a public relations board member that's a bad guy, we've got to find a way to get rid of these people. And if the president can't do it, we're going to have the courts or Congress, or ultimately we the people get it done, right? It's not a maybe. It's not just an opinion. We've got to stop them because we want the right to work freely, not be bowed down to unions. Well, this is something Donald Trump's taken a great lead on, and I commend him. And it's something that we need to be involved in as well. Just imagine if Congress heard from 1 million Americans, stop tampering with our employment. Stop tampering around the edges and pretending you're doing something that you're not doing. Start to dig into the heart of the matter like Elon Musk or like Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden did, right? He just did it in the wrong way, in my opinion. He did it in the opposite view. The liberals are doing what I'm talking about, people. It's just the conservatives that are not. But it's about time that we start doing this in our own world, in our own lives, and getting involved. The days of watching from the sidelines must be over. And the sooner, the better, right? Anyway, thought I'd bring that to your attention. I know that's an obscure issue, but it's really important because people need the right to work, especially when people are getting laid off left and right. We need the climate to be as pro-employer, employee-friendly as we can get. And we need your help to get it done, right? LibertyRoundtable.com, LovingLiberty.net. I want to thank you for listening. Please spread the word to your friends and let them know. Would like them to listen and learn as well. All right, I'm Sam Bushman, Liberty Roundtable Live, syndicated by the Loving Liberty Radio Network. Check out LovingLiberty.net, incredible website, LovingLiberty.net. I'm Sam Bushman. God save the Republic of the United States of America.